Is a main roster star returning to NXT in time for Takeover? Hello, you're watching the WrestleTalk podcast. I'm El Faker Laurie Blake. I'm joined by Adam Blom here, and yeah, that's the main talking point we're going to have this week. There's been a little bit of a promo package on WWE's YouTube as they sort of did Takeoff to Takeover last night, and they made a bunch of title matches. We'll go through the whole show in a bit, but yes, there's been this little interesting Sam Fisher-esque video package where someone wears the green goggles to just turn the lights on, mate. You know, you seem like you're there on your own. Turn the lights on, and they go in and they're talking about building the brand with their blood. And since then, there's only been paper champions, and they throw a pipe through a trophy case that had some sort of sheet over it and take out one of the NXT titles, saying they will return. And then a date flashes up on screen that says Takeover. Ooh, and you're like, ooh, and then it's like a lot of the rumors are it's Bo Dallas.
Yes.
So,
I know, I'm fine with that. It's either Bo Dallas or Bobby Roode, really, isn't it? So there's got to be an ex-champion. Could be a lady.
Could be Ember Moon.
Could be Ember Moon. That would be really, really exciting. I'm hoping that it's a lady wrestler, because I think that the division probably needs a bit more help. I don't know where Bo Dallas fits into the Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano era. I mean, he's great, character work wise, perfect. And Bobby Roode, like he's very good, very technical, not quite the kind of work rate level that I think most people expect from a Takeover main event. But yes, no, Ember Moon, please. That would be marvelous.
So one of the little bits of sleuthing I noticed in the comments on the video was that there's a very brief shot at the beginning where this figure moves like a rope out of the way, and like clearly the lamp on these headset that they're wearing is very bright, but you can see like a bit of a poster. And people said that's a poster from Takeover Orlando era of NXT, which was when Bobby Roode won the NXT Championship from Shinsuke Nakamura.
It's also when Ember Moon debuted, of course,
and took on Asuka. Yeah, and I'm much more hopeful for it to be. I think Ember Moon fits the kind of mood of this more. Like I imagine this could be a really big repackage for Bo Dallas. I don't necessarily think it would. It doesn't feel like it fits Robert Roode. I would just want to.
You're right. It wasn't when Ember Moon debuted. It was when she took on Asuka. Damn. Never mind. Thank you for correcting me.
It was when she. It's when she lost to Asuka the first time. But yeah, like I think Ember Moon coming back and that sort of being that would be more interesting. In June she talked to comicbook.com and said about her obviously injury to her Achilles, but she was in recovery and she was doing physio to try and regain strength. There was some slight complications with that set that back, but probably, you know, you kind of hope that would have set it back maybe a couple of months. It's a couple of months later. And if you're doing a run-in, you don't necessarily have to be in peak physical fitness.
Having an ankle helps, though.
Yeah, having an ankle helps, but I'm not saying she's not like training for her first match. You could put off her first proper NXT match until the next Takeover by having this big debut. It's just I don't know why this wasn't on NXT in the this
It'll
is
be on next week, won't it?
Yeah, it was. I thought this was really cool. It felt very like there's a lot of people sort of conflating it in the comments with going like, oh no, more retribution, or like, oh, thank God somebody remembered about the SmackDown hacker. But yeah, like I thought this was a really cool idea. Like it raises a lot of questions. There's obviously been rumors like just this week that Bobby Roode is ready for a return. So, you know, maybe this is that. I would love to see Bobby Roode come back though in a sort of like Fallen Glory mode, sort of with a tattered gown and be like, I used to be glorious. I used to have it all. And it'll slip. Like that would be the sort of package I'd give Bobby Roode to come back with. But yeah, Ember Moon, I think this really fits.
You know what I'd like? It's just Keith Lee. He just walks into the main roster like, sod this, you're all on fire. This retribution stuff is wank, and then just walks back into.
They made me wear a t-shirt. Yeah, no, it could be. I mean, it could also be any of the retribution guys being like, God, this is. You want to call me what?
They all come back begging to be on the Robert Stone brand, please.
Oh, yeah, I'll do anything. What a week for wrestling. I feel like this is gonna like I felt like when NXT first debuted on USA and Tyler Breeze went back and then Finn Balor went back, it felt like it was kind of the floodgates opening for people to be like, please send me back to NXT. At least do something with me. And this could be a kind of continuation of that theme. Who do you think it's most likely to be? Obviously, I think the hope is that it's Ember Moon.
Well, so it's got to be a champion. I think that's basically the whole point of it is that I remember that when we had proper champions, getting the championship belt and being just like, it's time to bring back. I'm assuming that means ex-champion, which does limit it to, Bo Dallas, Big E, but probably not Big E. Obviously, Neville's not around.
What if it is Neville? What if it is Neville?
Wow.
What's quietly happened is he's left AEW.
Heist of the century. I mean, I would lose my mind.
I would lose my mind.
I think it's so in terms of like men's titles, then it's not Joe, I don't believe. And it's not Shinsuke. So it's either Bobby Roode, Bo Dallas, or a women's champion, which it's not gonna be Bayley.
No.
It's not gonna be Sasha, it's not gonna be Charlotte. So it's probably going to be Ember Moon, but that's great. I'm so much more up for seeing Ember Moon on NXT, where she gets to have some proper long matches, like Ember Moon versus Io Shirai. Yes, please. Ember Moon versus Candice LeRae. I'll take that. I'm gonna bet the farm on Ember Moon.
Yeah, I really hope it's Ember Moon. Like, there's too many sort of like, I feel like maybe the poster's a bit of maybe it's a red herring here, and I feel like the kind of building the brand with your blood thing suggests it's Bo more than anyone else, because obviously, like, he's right at the front of the NXT queue in terms of being involved in the brand. His family also were like, you've had Bray go through there as well and be a really big part of it. I wonder if that's kind of all coming to play. Like, I'd love a sort of heel Bo Dallas with a bit more to him than, like, I loved obviously all the Bo Leave stuff was, I do actually think, really, really funny, and I got a bit lost once he ended up with Curtis Axel as the B team. But
his heel run, like way back in like old NXT, like even older than Adrian Neville times, was really good. Like, he just started out as a face, and the fans hated him, so they turned him into the most wonderful obnoxious heel. Like his stuff back then was just, he's such a wet fart. Brilliant though, like the best kind of obnoxious tit. And I think character wise, there's definitely a place for him and Johnny Gargano, just seeing who can out obnoxious each other.
God, Gargano is peak obnoxious right now, which we'll talk about as we talk about the rest of the show, which Tom Phillips was on commentary because Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett weren't there, and Beth Phoenix was joining him. We started out pretty much like ready for the battle royal. Everyone was in the ring except Candice, who got her own entrance. We saw Candice backstage attack Tegan Knox, which I thought was brilliant.
Finally some teeth.
Yeah, exactly. This is, and also finally something for Tegan to be upset about. Like, you know what? Fair enough. Like, I feel like all of Tegan's acting injured is quite good until she starts screaming "my knee" as if we didn't know. It's like
not the bees, not
the two things that you've broken consistently. But this was really, really good when, like, I thought it was great the way they sort of did that. Like, you saw Candice standing over her and Tegan and kind of sort of like maniacally laughing to herself, Tegan screaming, and as the referee runs in, the camera follows in to be like, what's happening? And the referee's like, what's wrong? And she's like, my knee. And it's like, as if that wasn't obvious. And then boosh with the flight case. That was really, really cool. I thought it was like,
no one saw Candice coming.
No, but that's the viciousness.
From the other side of the room, just getting ahead of steam going.
That is the absolute viciousness I want to see from this version of Candice LeRae. Right. Like, this is she. And I think this all paid off brilliantly in the Battle Royal, which we'll go into in a second. But like, this is kind of, it should be meaning something to her to have been sort of browbeaten by being the best friend of all these people for so long and wanting the championship that badly that she's willing to chuck anyone under the bus to do it. Like, I thought that was great. Rhea obviously got her full entrance. Rhea gets her full entrance on a run-in. It doesn't matter. Rhea always gets an entrance. And then so like the story of the match was that Rhea and Raquel Gonzalez were just two really big women. And
these jobber names made me roar. I've got a list of all of them. It's amazing.
Ellie.
Gia, Raven, Avery, Rita, Catalina, just absolute boilerplate.
I'm sorry, but also you can't have another wrestler called Raven. You've already had a Raven. What are you playing at? Like, not even like Raven something, like Raven another name. Like Raven's her first name and then another surname. It's just she's just Raven. You can't do that.
I would love it.
Luke's gonna crap himself. I was trying to look for a polite way to say that. Luke's gonna throw a fit when he hears about that. Besmirching the name of Raven. It was a lot of fun though. Like it was a little bit clumsy and a little bit slow, especially as they worked their way through the myriad jobbers they brought in for this match. There was a really sort of clunky elimination of Casey Catanzaro where she flopped to the floor on her back and her feet didn't touch. And that was like, I mean, Aaliyah was involved. It was a little bit fraught. And then Catanzaro did a brilliant bit where she was like, my feet haven't touched. And then she rolled through from there into a handstand and just like hopped back in because she did something in the Women's Royal Rumble that time, the Kofi spot. And there's also the Naomi spot, but yeah, they've just given it to Casey Catanzaro now, which was a lot of fun.
Like Ninja Warrior, like she could probably, there's some, I loved it. She had like a whole bunch of them.
The one where she was like wobbling around on she'd been pushed on, somehow got onto the barricade. I don't know, because they sort of cut around it. Like we basically came back from the break and found out that Casey Catanzaro was on the barricade. And they were like, she's almost in the match. And then she climbs up the barricade and like holds on to the plexiglass. And there's a few moments where obviously it's got a lot of flex to it. And she almost went about 5 times. And she went, and then so she jumps onto the steps and Indy Hartwell kicks her back onto the barricade. She then calls out to Kaden Carter, who like reaches out across the precipice, having got onto the apron, and she just gets dumped by I'm pretty sure it was Gonzalez at that point.
Gonzalez, yeah.
Oh no, it was Gonzalez. Yeah, she just knocks her out, and then Kaden gives Casey a lift back into the match, which is quite nice. But it looked like magic. It looked like Casey had really tweaked her ankle, though, when she jumped onto the steps, because she almost slipped off as she jumped on. And then, like it looked like her left ankle went. And then she was, like, hobbling a little bit as she got back in the ring. She didn't last long after that.
No, he's done her spots. Bye now.
What I didn't like, this whole match felt like it was building up to this moment in which Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez were going to go off on each other. And it really felt like it was like, you know, they were sort of matching each other elimination for elimination and completely controlling the match. I don't think they played it as well. Like we've seen it better in other sort of multi-person matches where the two people who you want to see fight and they keep them away from each other. Here, it really just felt like Rhea and Gonzalez were working around each other. And there wasn't that sort of like, they're trying to get to each other, but all these little pests and irritants keep getting in their way. So they're like, bye, Raven. See you later, Ellie. Goodbye, Gia.
Sorry, Susan.
And then
later, Sandra.
Yeah, Karen, get out of here. And so they build up to that moment where like those two people will eventually face off. And here we got that where they immediately clashed in the center of the ring and then immediately got each other eliminated. And I don't know whether it felt a bit botchy. I don't know if that was the intention or not, but it felt like they were meant to sort of roll onto the apron and something was meant to happen, but it kind of, they just went over and Gonzalez just went and hit the floor. And so Rhea just had to go too. I was wondering if they were going to do like they get on the apron and then Dakota just kicks them both off. Like I would. That would
be fun because Dakota's immediately there, being just like, "Ooh,
I don't think this was meant to happen."
Who knows? They didn't exactly have a Rock Austin in the Rumble 01 moment or a Hogan Warrior thing. Difficult when you've got inorganic fans, but like they had a little bit of a throwdown, like enough to make me still want to see that match.
I do want to see that match. Yeah, I think like, and I think the sort of the bungling, which I'm assuming must have been like something didn't quite go right on the elimination because then they sort of both popped up and there wasn't that heat and that passion in that moment. It felt like they were both a little bit thrown from what they should have been doing. So when they were trying to get in each other's faces, the referees were almost a little bit like too slow to get in between them. And then so they had to hold themselves back for a bit. Like there was just a little bit of tension here. It's a shame because, I think Gonzalez and Rhea's somehow managed to have 3 consecutive people on the go of like, I really want to see that happen. And obviously she's now ticked off Mercedes Martinez or Wingnut or whatever she's going to be called when she's in Retribution. But like, and Gonzalez was the next one to do like Thwomp. yeah. Piranha Plant is what her name will be. I did like this. And then I think it was a good choice, though, because I think it left a really interesting field of people for the finale of this match. You had Laurie and Dakota Kai, you had Shotzi Blackheart, and you had Kacy Catanzaro for a very, very short period of time. Candice and Dakota teamed up to take out Kacy, which I thought was really cool. They dumped her on the apron, and then Dakota came in with one of her like running kick, like face wash kicks to the face, knocked her off, and then it sort of ended up being a bit of a brawl. Shotzi managed to get Dakota Kai tipped out, and then Candice and Shotzi had this brilliant little exchange, and I thought it was really, really good, where they ended up either side of the post, and Shotzi rams Candice's leg into the post as she just sort of kick around it and knocks her down onto the steps. And Candice stumbles all the way to the bottom of the steps, and Shotzi puts her foot on her and starts pushing. And you get this really brilliant little bit of camera work from the NXT crew of like Candice's foot slipping ever so slightly off the edge of the steps. And then she rams Shotzi into the post, flips over, and then sort of monkey flips her off the steps. Shotzi just takes this huge tumble and slap onto the floor.
It's really painful.
Oh, I love this. I thought that was such a cool finish. It was so like, it was so differently told to like most finishes to Battle Royals, where normally the final 2 competitors do just end up on the apron having a slugfest and then someone wins. Like I liked, it showed Candice is quite crafty. It showed that maybe Shotzi's a little bit sort of, there's sort of maybe she's too ruthless sometimes in terms of like she was maybe showboating a little bit in the way she wanted to go for the victory. And Candice, who's a wily veteran, takes advantage of that and gets the win. And also it's not cheap. It doesn't cheapen Candice's win here either. Like it was clever and cunning, but it also made Candice look like a good wrestler and really smart. She didn't cheat to win this match. She did just survive all the way through. And that makes her a really strong challenger for Io Shirai. Which I think
really
is
good
great.
Call as well. Good choice in terms of like stuff you can put together at the last minute. Candice versus Io, right, the right choice. It set up Gonzalez Ripley. Dakota had a bit of fun. Like Dakota and Kacy got to be in the final 4, which really good for Kacy Catanzaro. Like again, slow. Let's build her slowly, but like little things like this are really important. And it could have.
They can only build her slowly now, Adam. It's been years. She's been in NXT for like a year and a half.
I don't know. Look, it hasn't been her time yet. But like Blackheart after her brilliant showing last week, which got a lot of people really, buzzed on her. That could have gone to her very, very easy. So it was a nice tense moment that wasn't spoiled for me like the main event was. It's good to work for a wrestling company. Main event was sport for me, but this one wasn't. No, it was a genuine little nail biter. Love the shot of Candice on the steps with Shotzi on the floor. Really well framed shot.
It's on the thumbnail for this video. Great stuff.
Gonna be a great match. Well done.
Yeah, so Johnny comes out to celebrate, and it's announced. It was announced earlier, but they just make it clear on commentary that Johnny is going up against Damian Priest at Takeover, which is another match I really want to see. But also, like, this is a really good, like, last minute to hang something off. This is a thread that's been dangling in NXT for ages, that the Garganos want to be the first ever married couple champions in NXT. And you can just hotshot that straight into like one of the prime storylines in NXT for a week. And it doesn't feel too cheap when you've got this tape, and you realize that like kind of it'll be interesting to see the depths that they're going to go to and like how far they'll sink in order to sort of make that come true at Takeover, because I can't imagine both of them are losing their matches, or at least you kind of hope, because I feel like one of them's going to definitely help the other one to conquer. Like you don't want to see I don't want to see the Garganos just sort of washed out on the first attempt at this thing, because I think this is like, I think it could be one of the more interesting stories in NXT that they've got. Like, I do really feel like those two with the belts turning the obnoxiousness up to 11 could be really fun. And I also wonder if that's why they've just given Damian Priest a really quick series of wins over the last couple of weeks. I don't know. Be interesting to see. Anyway, then Priest gets interviewed backstage. He says, Johnny Takeover, it's a really huge deal to be taking him on at Takeover, but as good as he is, his reign of infamy isn't coming to an end. And then he talks about Austin Theories. He says his record is not relevant to his talent. And then as he's leaving, he's like, Sarah, you're really good at this. I had fun. I'll see you tonight at the after party. Slipping in a bit of lech at the end.
Yeah, little tiny little DM slide. Delightful. I've just realised what's coming next. William Regal calling Fandango a twat. Yeah. I'm sure he said tit, but it's the way that someone else said something else. It's just, Fandango's dressed as Sherlock Holmes. He says, no English accent. And he just looks him up and down and says, you look like a... And then he says something that began with T and something that ended with T. I'm sure he said tit, but someone else said something that really made it sound like William Regal said, you look like a twat, which really, really made me laugh. I went back and rewatched it 3 times, and I'm pretty sure it's
I thought this was quite fun, to be fair. Like, so Fandango's basically dressed as Sherlock Holmes and trying to work out. For some reason, they were trying to work out their own challenges for TakeOver. And he said his idea was to have Daddy Burch and Roderick Strong team against Raul Mendoza and Fabian Eichner. And then the winners of that tag match that happens tonight their respective teams will face off next week to decide who's going to go up against Breezango at TakeOver. Everyone was very confused about what that was, because obviously Dango explained it in Dangoisms.
It's confusing. It's really simple.
Yeah, it was, but it was like he did explain it in sort of a riddle. It wasn't. He didn't say that, because obviously he's also given everyone nicknames as he went round. What was it? Los Gatos? He keeps calling Legado.
I really like the fact that William Regal needed it translating, but he got it translated into sort of like Cockney English by Danny Burch. So he was just like, "All right, okay," which that again made me giggle. Probably not something that our American fans loved as much as I did, but it was really fun. What a fun little segment.
Yeah, it was really this was good, and it set up a good little match for later in the night, and is also an interesting way to build something into TakeOver. At least there's sort of stakes now on a weekly basis leading into TakeOver. We then got Tommaso Ciampa versus Jake Atlas.
Let down.
Yeah,
I was let down by this. It was a shame, because like I thought they were going to really build something, but like I have some questions about the finish of this match.
Go for it.
Why did he take his knee pad down?
Because he had hot knees. he had a hot knee, and he needed to air it before he hit the fairy tale ending.
Like, I thought it was a fine match, Widow's Bell. As soon as he didn't pin for the Widow's Bell, I was like, okay, cool. The point of the match now. Like, he's got the win, but he's going to do something else, something dastardly, something horrible, and then he hits a kind of weaker version of the Tyler Driver.
Yeah,
like he takes his knee pad down, doesn't do anything with his knee, and then hits a much weaker looking version of the fairy tale ending, and everyone's just be like, "Oh my god, can you believe the depths of depravity?"
I wonder if something happened.
Move on him.
I really wonder if something happened, because like he obviously hits the Willow's Bell, and then he takes his knee pad down and is thinking about a running knee to Jake Atlas's face, and then decides he doesn't want to do that. And then he goes for the fairy tale ending, a move where he normally drops them on their front, and Jake Atlas twists in the air to land on his back and not on his face. So I wonder if there was something that happened with Jake Atlas's face essentially during the match. Maybe where they were just like,
I don't know.
Not the moneymaker. I don't know what it was, but yeah, that just kind of read to me like, because it really felt like Ciampa was on the script when he took the knee pad down, and then he was just like, actually, I'm not going to do that, and sort of swerved from it. It felt like that's the thing, is like whatever happened, this sort of lacked the impact that I was expecting from it. Like I really like the sort of build into that moment where a fired up Jake Atlas sort of takes it to Tommaso Ciampa, but he's obviously very wily and keeps beating him down. And yeah, like Jake goes for that one show of athleticism too far, and that's what sort of cuts him down, because he goes for that cartwheel DDT out of the corner, and Ciampa just kicks his arm out from underneath him, hits him with the Willow's Bell, and then you get the cover. And I like the kind of going for the cover and just being like, no. You think you're hungry? Get up. Like, and that also, the get up thing also suggests that he's going to knee him in the face, right? Like, get up, get on your knees, because I'm going to run and hit you in the face. That all, so I do just wonder if something happened with Jake Atlas here that just had to change. They had to change that finish at the last second, which, unfortunately made it lack the impact. It wasn't, what Ciampa did in the first match was far more severe than anything that happened in this match. Yeah. And this doesn't feel like a continuation. Then it feels like a sort of, it's a watered down version of what we've already seen before. Like, if this was going to be truly, we need to see just how depraved Tommaso Ciampa has become. This should be where he goes overboard. Like, how I don't know how much further you can go from, like, nailing someone with a slingshot underneath the ring and then also hitting somebody like with a DDT off a stretcher while they're in a neck brace. Like, I don't know what else you can do, but maybe they should have tried to find it, because this particular finish didn't really add up to anything much. And I don't want to see them continue this for just another round of, Jake Atlas does really feel like sort of something to just give Tommaso Ciampa heat. And I don't feel like it's a feud. I just feel like Jake Atlas is just fueling heat for Ciampa, and he doesn't need heat really, because he's Tommaso damn Ciampa.
I'm just looking up the sort of the comments on the video to see if anyone has like a little bit of insight under it. And basically, the top comment is, Ciampa, Kyle isn't going to save you. Security isn't going to save you. No one is going to save you. Delivers modified fairy tale ending. Just like, okay, all right,
okay. And he thought that was enough. Maybe the nuance was in his eyes of like, you don't even deserve the knee to the face, Jake Atlas, and we just didn't read it correctly. I don't know. Tommaso Ciampa's a wrestling genius, but this let me down. We then got a little Ridge Holland package. Talk about him being from Yorkshire. Ridge, like the beef crisps. And clips of him playing rugby and being brutal in the ring.
Ridge Holland's beef crisp. I would definitely. Oh Lord, that's fun.
Well, that's what he does now. That's his new job.
Anyway, yes, that was fun. He's a big lad.
He's kind of like, it just feels like a sort of grab bag, for want of a better word, of tropes, Yorkshire tropes and northern influence, and it's fine. He needs a bit more to him, but I'm sure we'll get that as we go along. We then got a really cool package for the Gauntlet Eliminator match, which obviously all over it. And my only note for it is, I love Cameron Grimes. I love the fact that he's always hanging around by the river like he's Huckleberry Finn. Like, he's just got off a raft. He's going to the moon.
Does he know what the moon is? I'm starting to think that he actually doesn't know what the moon is. I think he might be in shops or something like that.
He's got a grasp of it. I think he thinks it's made of cheese, so he just thinks he'll eat forever. That's what he thinks. I'll never go hungry again. To the moon.
Silly.
Well, the man is a Burke. I love it. He's great. He's so good. We then got the match between the team of Roderick Strong and Danny Burch versus Fabian Eichner and Raul Mendoza. I really liked this. Most of the match was built to a really good hot tag on Roderick Strong's side of things. Burch really got worked over for a lot of it. But there was some really cool, fun little blind tag spots as well, where Eichner got this blind tag. And as he ran through the ring, he just ran past Danny Burch, nailed Roderick Strong off the apron, and then beat up Burch. But then as he's sort of throwing Burch around, Burch accidentally sort of flops back into a blind tag from Roddy. And then Roddy comes in and does sort of the inverse of that for a very long time with more backbreakers. Like, this was Roderick Strong on a hot tag is fire. He's magic, isn't he?
He needs to be a little bit more face than usual as well, which are they turning all of Undisputed Era face? Because him and Danny Burch had a bit of a kind of like a moment of respect with each other. So maybe. I'm not sure. It's not nearly as conclusive as Kyle O'Reilly's face turn, but nor Adam Cole's. But
yeah, well, because I think Strong's is also like Strong also refused a handshake, and he also refused a handshake at the end as well. So they had a little nod, but like Danny Burch was definitely like offering more. So Roddy was just like, "You get this much from me." That's
it. Makes me feel like is that the first step, sort of like with Maverick and Dane, or is that just Roddy's an asshole? It might just be that Roddy's an asshole. But he seemed like less of an asshole than last week when he was calling Killian Dane a fat dork. So
yeah, we'll have to see what happens because I'm assuming it's going to be Strong and Fish going up against Birch and Lorcan next week. So we'll have to see how they are presented in that moment, because I think it'd be quite interesting to do for Takeover, like Undisputed Era versus Breezango, and then Kyle in the main event against Finn, and Adam Cole left off a Takeover card, kind of stewing in his juices over the fact that he used to be the champion and now he can't even get on a Takeover. And it'd be really, I do think that we'll talk about it in a second, but like how fascinating it will be what they do with Kyle here. Spoiler for what we're going to talk about in a minute. We then got, so the match ends with Mendoza goes up top and he gets nailed on the top rope. Roddy hits the sick kick to Eichner to take him out, and then Danny hits a top rope cutter and rolls up Mendoza for 1, 2, 3. Good little match, some great little work between all of them. I think Eichner and Mendoza really had good tag team chemistry here as well. Like I thought they worked really well together. And obviously Roderick Strong's hot tag is something to behold. We then got Austin Theory backstage working out, and he said he was just basically chatting Austin Theory stuff of being really good all day, etc. All day. And then Johnny Gargano comes in and says, "Why are you bugging this kid before his match, Sarah? However, if you do fancy softening up Damian Priest before Takeover for me, I will not forget it." I thought this was good work from Johnny. Austin didn't really know what to say to that.
No.
he was just sort of like, okay.
I haven't been given a line, and I will not make one up. Goodbye.
End of scene. He basically just said end scene, and then it did end. But the match against Priest was great. That was what came directly after this. Theory really got a lot in, I thought, as well. Like he was given some good time. I think they're going to really build something with Theory. But this was all about the sort of fire under Priest. This kind of like almost dormant rage inside of him. There was some really brutal moments that he took early in the match that I think built to this sort of build at the end where he just went crazy. I don't know why Priest keeps going for his crazy springboard thing that he does, his like springboard inverse flip back into the ring, because every time now he gets pushed outside and it looks increasingly worse every single time for his back as he clatters off the apron. Here it was awful. I think my favorite moment was this moment where like Theory, cocky kid, gets in Priest's face and he says, "I should be the champ." And Priest just screams and nails him with his clothesline, forcing him back into the corner. Does the big like bow and arrow symbol and then runs in with a leaping elbow and then does a tossing Falcon arrow that sends Theory halfway across the ring like, "See ya."
Yeah, so good.
He's really I think he's really come into his own, and it's kind of a shame that I do want to see Johnny Gargano win the North American title at Takeover next week, but like I do really feel like Damian Priest has become something like he's finally found his footing and become like the whole package that he was always meant to be in NXT. Because I think when he first debuted, it was so vague. The kind of Archer of Infamy character, and when it was heel it didn't really work, and I think this sort of like party animal sort of face is really good. It's really fun.
He gets to have more matches and he gets to win more, and it's like he moves a lot more excitingly than he does now. He doesn't have the specter of Baron Corbin lurking all over him, but like for one that's been billed very strange, like not strangely but sort of like last minute, like it's very much just like, oh, by the way, there's a Takeover. It's the three matches that we've got are pretty rock solid. I assume something's going to happen next week, because it would be weird if Adam Cole and Ciampa both had nothing to do on Takeover. So maybe, I don't know. mean, for a placeholder match, that just to bulk out a takeover, you could do a lot worse. But yeah, like the 3 matches that we've got, I'm dead excited for. I'm a bit like you.
It's Cole McAfee too, by the way, for Takeover. 1 week build.
I'm a bit like you. I could see both Garganos winning. I could see one Gargano winning and the other one kind of getting a little bit kind of frustrated by that. I could see
Candice winning and Johnny being annoyed.
Mhm.
There's money in that.
I could see both Garganos losing and that finally making them up their game, and to rather than spaghetti-based villainy, but more like the shipping crate-based villainy that we've seen, and then maybe they fulfill the prophecy. Because I think you're right. It is a prophecy that should be fulfilled, because a power couple dripping in gold and smug, like nesting at the top of the card, is great. It's a really fun story. I haven't really seen it in NXT, so they should do it. Whether or not they do it at this takeover, we're not sure. It's a really unpredictable like pair of matches. The main events not so much, but although who knows?
You do live in hope. So this match ended basically. They brawled to the outside. They were going for like a really nasty looking apron spot. Priest did this brilliant bit where he spun out of a move and then spun back in with this cyclone kick, like a lovely double pirouette there, and then hit the razor's edge onto the apron, rolls Theory back into the ring, and then just screaming hits the Reckoning and picks up the victory. Brilliant stuff. As he's posing for his, just to celebrate with the title, Johnny runs in and nails him and then poses over him and does the arrow sign. Great little build.
Super kick out of the darkness was lovely. Yeah, very much a bit more put together, like a bit more kind of like just slapped together at the last minute than Io and Candice, because obviously there's history there. But even so, like, just Johnny Gargano brings a weight of expectations with him, especially with a takeover that just it does kind of satisfy. Where there's not a lot of storytelling, it's just the idea of Johnny Takeover versus someone on Takeover. It comes with its own sort of like anticipation, and it smooths over a lot of the cracks in the storyline.
Oh yeah, there's a real power to that. Like, Johnny is the sort of person you can just go, he's having a match on Takeover, and that gives it immediate stakes. And then him and Priest do have a little bit of history, like throughout their time in NXT. They have been in a lot of feuds over the North American title. They just haven't had many chances to go one-on-one. So I think this could be something really, really interesting that we get to see. And like I'm saying, I hope it fulfills the prophecy of the Garganos with all the gold, because I just think that will be really funny. I just think that's a really powerful story to tell in NXT. I think got a lovely little package about
they would have eating the dinners they would have eating their food off their respective titles.
Yeah. The little dog will get his own little belt as well, I guess.
Yay.
That makes Adam happy. Right, then we got a Swerve package. He talked about having 2 pinfalls over Santos Escobar and saying, let's do it again. No Legado del Fantasma on your side. No gimmicked masks. Just me and you one-on-one. I wonder if that's going to be a takeover match, or whether that's just going to be like NXT straight after takeover, because they quite like to put a few good matches on that. Whatever happens, I'm really excited to see it. We then got Ridge Holland and his beef crisps versus Antonio DeLuca, which was a complete squash, as you would imagine. Ridge just nails him with a series of headbutts in the corner, which did look really brutal, and then he hits his finisher, which is called Northern Grit.
It's a power slam, right? I mean, it's sort of like a power slam driver.
It's a scoop slam, kind of.
Scoops. Yeah. It's a sit-out scoop slam.
Yeah. And he tips his little cap, and then he wanders off into the night because he's got business to attend to.
Got to see a man about the dog.
Yeah, he's got to go bet on the dogs. That's what I got to go do. He's fine, Ridge Holland. He just needs some more screen time to make more of him, because, I think maybe in America, he maybe to the US audience, he seems sort of more of a character, but I guess to a UK viewer, he kind of just it's very generic. Like the whole Peaky Blinders thing, I think even ran its course here 5 years ago. So it feels a little bit outdated. And then also just doing we're just really going to double down on the northernness of this character as well.
I love it. Yeah, just like
it comes out to Wonderwall.
just
It's the wrong side of the north, but it's fine.
Starts smearing mud on his face, chomping on a bit of coal like it's an apple.
Oh, bless him. I want to see more of him because I think he's clearly incredibly gifted. And I would like to see more made of it. We then got Io Shirai interviewed backstage saying, "I don't like Candice. I never have, and I never will." She has liked. You did like Candice at one point. They were friends. Yeah, they were friends before she turned on Candice. Her heel turn was cemented by attacking Candice.
Right.
Candice runs in and says, "Oh, this is where you've been hiding." Gloat, 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 gloat. And then Priest walks in, goes, "Ah, Johnny, boof." And the whole point of this is to set up a tag match for next week, which seems like it would be interesting to see Io Shirai and Damian Priest tagging together. It would be more interesting to see the Garganos tagging together, I think. And I think it could really will set the tone for what happens at TakeOver. We then jumped straight into the Gauntlet Eliminator match with Kushida and Kyle in the ring. When Kushida and Kyle did their 4 minutes of mat-based wrestling, I bloody loved it. I was really like, this is...
It was straddling each other and being like
cartwheels. No, not you. Oh, me. Tease. Oh, you tease.
Ooh, hello.
My ankle. How dare you? It was a lot of fun. I really like... I think they are both so dynamic, like they're such dynamic wrestlers that they can make something like that seem really important. I think that's the same, like obviously Thatcher is that same sort of thing. And I wonder if that's why they got rid of Kushida so early in this match, because Thatcher was next in and it would have just been, Thatcher was in after Bronson Reed, it would have just been like too many mat technical guys. Yeah. Everyone just rolling around on the floor like a sort of a yoga class that's gone off the rails. I didn't like your man running in and knocking out Kushida. I feel like it doesn't really do much for Kushida to put him in a feud with Velveteen Dream. I think Velveteen Dream, as we've said before, is still a little bit problematic in NXT. Obviously not saying that there's anything you can, obviously everything's been reported about him and there has been no formal charge or anything like that, but I just think it raises too many questions. And I think what was brilliant about what they did with Kushida attacking Dream was it really felt like they were going to go somewhere with Kushida, and now it seems like maybe it's just to give an edge to Velveteen Dream when he comes back. I don't know. I was also gunning for Kushida to win this match. I would have loved to see Kushida versus Finn Balor at TakeOver. I'm happy with the finish, but so there's a point where they sort of get Bronson Reed goes up for the tsunami and they nail him on the top, and they sort of push O'Reilly out to the outside. And as Kushida's sort of recovering from that, Dream runs in, hits a Dream Valley driver, which gives Bronson Reed a chance to hit the tsunami and pick up the 1-2-3, knocking Kushida out. Then Thatcher runs in, and then we sort of went straight into a break after Thatcher arrived, like marched down to the ring really like forcefully, got knocked off by Bronson Reed. And then we came back from the break and it was 8 seconds till Cameron Grimes came in. And it's like cool, okay, we have missed a match.
It's like, wow, okay, so Timothy, you're not the most important person in this match, are you, Timothy? That was a shame. It was a weird bit of programming. I felt like you could have at least got a minute of Thatcher doing some stuff, because like people don't really care about the timings. They don't care.
And he missed his big, like, when you come into a match, you normally get your moment of like, here's my 1 minute of really cool moves where I get to sort of make my mark. And he just literally got cut off by Bronson Reed, and I'm assuming stayed on the floor for 4 minutes. I don't know. But the match really picked up when Cameron Grimes arrived, I think. Like, Grimes was the sort of the speed and the dynamism that this match sort of needed after Kushida was taken out of it, because suddenly it went into a different gear as he arrived.
This fatal 4-way was everything to me. Like, NXT of old, really, really liked it.
It was just people flinging moves about the place. It was brilliant stuff. Like, and I love that Grimes comes in and he sort of takes out the whole gang with this dive, and then he hits a moonsault, and then he jumps over the top rope and he hits a penalty kick on the apron, and then basically Bronson Reed did that like big toss on the apron with Grimes, like catapulted Grimes outside.
He used him as a weapon. I thought it was really... and it's something that Reed was doing throughout the match, was basically beating them to death with their own kind. He like threw Kushida into Kyle O'Reilly. Then he threw, he catapulted Cameron Grimes, and which looked even worse was I think he just hoyed Thatcher and just slammed him down into Grimes. It's just like it's brilliant kind of booking of him as the Colossus. He's so big, he's able to use wrestlers as weapons. I think that's really, really fun. Really fun agenting on him.
And they did well to build around him as well here. I think they did really smart work with having Kyle and Thatcher wearing him down. And then Grimes comes in as like the sort of wily one who's always trying to take advantage of that. So any moment that Kyle and Thatcher put each other down, Grimes would run in and hit like a gut wrench suplex on someone and then almost like run away. And they finally got Reed out because Reed misses a tsunami. And then Kyle comes flying off the top with a knee, lands on top of him and pins him. How did they get Thatcher out? It was a roll up. So Kyle and Thatcher were sort of trading roll ups, and then Kyle eventually managed to roll Thatcher up for a 1-2-3. And as he pops up, Grimes runs in with this beautifully timed cave in, and you think, oh my God, it's all over. And Kyle puts his foot on the ropes. And then this little exchange that was, only a couple of minutes long, really, between Grimes and Kyle was brilliant. This was so good. Like this was the point where I sat forward in my chair, like, oh, come on, Kyle. I really want to see you go to Takeover, Kyle. And then, Grimes was talking crap about Kyle, saying that, Adam Cole was the only man of the group. And Kyle does this reverse dragon screw on Grimes's knee that looks like utterly brutal. And then the final moment comes as Grimes jumps up for the cave in. He misses and he crumples down on that leg that's just taken that move. Great bit of storytelling, great work by Kyle O'Reilly, who then just rolls into him, wraps him up in a heel hook, and Grimes has to tap. That is so good. Yes. Kyle O'Reilly winning this match was everything to me by the end of it. I was just like, I just want to see it happen. And my next note is effing yes. And then Roderick Strong and Adam Cole come out and they celebrate with Kyle, and Finn walks out onto the ramp and they have the big stare down to close the show. I cannot wait to see what they do with Kyle O'Reilly because, this is really going to cement his face turn, I think. I wonder if it's going to be the thing that pushes him out of the Undisputed Era as well, because I think they're going to try and help, and I think they're going to mess it up. And that's why Finn's going to pull out the victory here. Or Adam Cole's going to get jealous of Kyle being in this position. And that might be the story they tell going into this, because we've got one more week of programming as well before Kyle takes on Finn. And I think he's going to get some coaching from Adam Cole. I want that. That's the like one of the reasons to tune in for next week for me is to see Adam Cole talking with Kyle O'Reilly about this, because I'm not sure where they're going to go with it. I'm really excited because if it leads to Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, take me away. But I'm really, really looking forward to it. You can really make someone in a gauntlet match. Turns out Kofi Mania wasn't just a one-off fluke. It demonstrates guts and fortitude in a way that promos can't. And yet, putting himself through hell, eliminating most of the field. What a brilliant performance by Kyle O'Reilly. Just a reminder of what makes him a unique competitor as well. Pick the perfect opponents to kind of make him shine. Just like seeing him being able to chop down Bronson Reed, seeing him do unique offense with Kushida, both people sort of like finding each other across a crowded room, being just like, where have you been all my life? And then him and Cameron Grimes like working that kind of character stuff. I loved it. Well done. Really, really good booking. Doesn't quite feel like a Takeover main event just yet, but that's okay because we've got one more week to kind of build to that. And honestly, like Takeovers shouldn't just be here's the big stars. It should be the platform to make the big star. And I think honestly, if booked right, Kyle O'Reilly steps out of Takeover 31 looking like the next big thing. And I can't wait to see it. I really can't. Here is hoping. And that was I think it's a great episode of NXT. If you were on the fence about watching it, do go and watch it. Go out of your way to see the Gauntlet match. I think it was genuinely brilliant. I think the stuff with Johnny and Damian Priest and Candice and Io next week is going to be great too. So definitely tune in for that. That is all we've got time for discussing NXT on this week's WrestleTalk podcast. I've been Laurie. That's been Adam Blompier. Please click the videos that have appeared on screen now to catch up on more awesome WrestleTalk things, and the button that's somewhere in the center that make you a pledge hammer on Patreon, and that'll get you more awesome WrestleTalk content. Let us know in a comment down below what you thought of NXT this week too. That was NXT.